Hi viewer, welcome to Karatini's Garage. Today I'm going to work on my 85 Trans Am. I'm going to replace the water pump because it's damaged. So let's do it. The water pump is over here. It's this piece over here. So I'm gonna need to take things out of the way. I'm gonna take out my intake. This is an aftermarket intake, and if you have a stock one, you may have a bracket bolt here somewhere to hold the mass airflow sensor. This one doesn't have that. And you could have also a canister here that holds the air filter. In that case, you just on it has some tabs. You take them off and you could lift it up, and then you take this screw off, disconnect the flow meter, and you can take the whole thing off. In my case, I just take this bolt off. Look, a kitty came to visit. Nice. Get out. Hey, get out. I'm working. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I left my camera at my girlfriend's house, so I don't have my tripod, neither my camera. I'm using my phone, so I cannot do this holding the phone, so sorry about that. Okay, I just took out the intake. This is the connector for the mass airflow. You just push this up. In order to take it out, you can use a screwdriver. Just be careful, these are old cars and this might be like damaged from the heat and you could break it. This one is not, but yours could. Now we can see the water pump more clearly, and we need to take this belt out. This belt goes to the alternator and down to the crankshaft and up to the water pump. So in this car that doesn't have serpentine belt, I don't like that about this car. We have to loosen this bolt and other bolt down here in order for this to go in and loose the belt. Before you do that, you need to disconnect your battery negative cable, because in the positive side there is a cable that goes directly to the alternator back here. Let me see if you can see it. And in other cases that I have tried to do this, that cable over there, this big cable, if you can see, it's a little bit has burn on it, because this is always hot, and when you lose the alternator and this touches anything, it will spark. So make sure before you try anything with the alternator, you disconnect the negative cable of the battery. So I will do that and we'll be right back. Okay, I just unbolt the upper side. It was a 15 millimeter and the bottom side was a 14 millimeter. I don't think this came this way from factory. This is an old car and has had a lot of owners, and somebody may change those bolts, but they thread pretty good, and I found the right size. So it is very important you find the right size. These are new belts I put in recently, so let's put this aside. And now we need to remove the other belt that goes to the water pump and goes to the crankshaft and goes to that's the steering pump and the AC compressor. So in order to take that out, we need to remove the bolt from the AC compressor on the top side, and it has another one on the bottom. Usually this type of belts, every component has a bolt on the top and a bolt on the bottom, where you lose both of them and then stretch it down and this comes off. So we'll be right back. I just lose the air compressor top bolt 15 millimeter on the back. There is another bolt on the behind that. Here is a 15 millimeter, and in the back side you have let me see if I can get it right here. This is a 15 millimeter too. The bottom side, no bolts on the front and the bottom, so just on the back side. So just get the belt out. I always like to put the belts with the letters to the front. I have heard that you cannot put them backwards once you put it in because they could tend to jump out. I don't know if that's true, but I usually follow my fellow advices. So right now we have all the belts out, and we have one bolt here from the bracket from the alternator to the water pump. So we need to get that out. I have two bolts here from the bracket from the air pollution system, which is not working because it doesn't have a belt. And then we have two bolts to the block on the other side, and I think these bolts goes to the block too, the ones that hold that bracket. So I'm gonna get those bolts out and I will be right back with you. I just found out I made a mistake. One I think you won't be making if you're watching this video is that this bolt over here, I cannot get it out because the pulley is in the way. So you need to take the pulley out first, but it will be easier if you leave the belts on and loose the bolts first, because the belts attached to the crankshaft won't let this move. Now this moves freely, so now I need to take a screwdriver to hold it in place like this, and with a socket remove bolt by bolt the same way. So if you did it wrong like me, you need to use the screwdriver method. If you're watching this video beforehand, loosen these bolts first. In order to turn this with the belts on, you need to crank the engine. So you lose the bolt on the top and crank the engine just a little bit, so the other bolt goes on, and you lose it one by one that way, and the belts will hold it in place. Then you lose the bolts, and when the bolts are loose, you don't take them all out. You just remove the belts, and then the pulley comes out, and then you can take out the bolts that holds the water pump to the block. Now that the pulley is out, I can get to the bolts that I need to get out in order to take the water pump out. Remember, you will be tempted to put that pulley back in the new one before getting this thing in, but then you will have the same problem. So the pulley goes in after you have tightened all the bolts in the new pump back in the car. Just a quick note.